Welcome to MCP's demo, where you will see workflow from borrower application through post-closing. As a loan officer enters MCP, they're greeted with their pipeline. On the pipeline, they can navigate between different pre-qualification applications that have been submit to them. They can also see leads and filter to leads using the pipeline. Additionally, there are features to create a new loan from the pipeline dashboard and check rates. Check rates is a place where a loan officer can answer borrower questions, complete a consultation on their behalf, and then ultimately explore eligible products and interest rates. So for a shopper, if a borrower calls in, the loan officer can use this page to enter in information and run eligible products. Let's take a look at the results of that. After the data has been filled in, here I can make a selection of different products I want to look at, price those products out, and MCP's native product and pricing engine is going to display which products are valid and invalid. Products will include reasons as to why they appeared either as valid or invalid. Clicking on this VA product, I can see, for example, I did not indicate that the borrower has military service, so that is one of the guidelines that is being checked. Now, if the conversation is favorable, I can select one of these products to move forward. I also can select from multiple products to compare those products side by side and get an idea of what those monthly payments would look like while I'm on the phone with the borrower. This can also be exported to a PDF if needed. If everything looks good, I can make a selection and either advance this loan as a lead or application with some details about how the borrower prefers to be contacted. Now let's pick up on a loan that has been submit from the borrower center point of sale. Our borrower had submitted an application for a 30-year fixed loan, and as a loan officer selecting it, I'm greeted with a loan summary that tells key details about that incoming application from Borrower Center. If I wanted to validate details of some of the automated service responses, I can click on Services Overview and see the results of different DU submissions, credit report findings, and click on the results within one of the services. Here I can preview and review the details of the credit report and confirm that there's no late payments or other derogatory credit events. This borrower had received an automated pre-approval letter, as we can see here, and I want to send them a message to congratulate them on that pre-approval letter. So I'll open up the loan notes where we'll see the details of our previous conversation, and I can send out a new conversation to the borrower here. Loan notes is used not only for communication with the borrower, but we can also use this for internal comments and notes to give a borrower story, some updates for a processor or underwriter to see, or even details around an anticipated closing or title company that may be used. This message will be sent out to the borrower. And in addition, I can add general comments that will be stored for my internal users to review. Comments can be sorted and filtered here in the loan notes module, and they can also be flagged for priority. So if there are 30 to 40 comments or notes on a particular file, a user can quickly filter through those. Now, in this particular application, we now have a borrower who's under contract. So as an originator, I want to update the details of this loan with the new sales contract that's been received. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into my documents here in the top right and upload the signed and executed sales contract. I can search for the sales contract, click on Open, and I'll specify the doc type here and upload it to the file. Now, after that document is uploaded, I'm going to use the Origination Workflow Collection. Workflow collections on MCP are the results of best practices from our lender clients over the last 25 years. We've worked with them, they've given us feedback on how to specify critical workflow paths to advance a user through a different experience. We've designed these, as you'll see in our sessions, for every experience from origination through post-closing. Here's an originator. I'll confirm details about the application and enter the new property address that is off of the sales contract. These on-screen messages indicate that I now have met the 6 pieces of information required for a full application. I need to follow my disclosure process, and we'll walk through that with the loan officer. So I'll advance now through my workflow collection, double check authorizations have been received. These came through from Borrower Center, so they've already been logged. I can double check the results of the work number that came through from Borrower Center and also confirm income populated. I can see the results of the verification of assets and the Charles Schwab account that the borrower had added. And as I continue to step through, I can set manner of title held. We can place validations on fields like this in MCP that can prevent a user from advancing a loan from one status to the next. We'll talk about that in a later session. And now I want to update the current property taxes and insurance. As we see here, the details have been filled in. This was as a result of a third-party verification. Now we have some different fee services on MCP. This was through Smart Fees. We were able to get property tax data and have that updated. It also will populate due dates on the system. So for different municipalities and counties, can have that information added. We also can use fee schedules that we'll see here in a little bit on the loan fees module to make sure that most of the fees we want to disclose are adequately added, and then do a double check with some of our third-party integrations or other fees that fall into those 0 or 10% tolerance buckets. At the end, there is a loan application review type page where I can scroll through, review the details of the prior pages. And in this case, I'm going to add in some dates off of the sales contract. If I had any down payment assistance on this loan, I could also add some repayment information on if payments were deferred for 5 years and details around those housing and finance agency parameters. And I can also preview the underwriting conditions on this loan. Underwriting conditions is a page that is going to give different experiences for loan officers, processors, underwriters, closers, funders, post-closers. All of those different roles are going to have different permissions. So as a loan officer, I can't waive or clear these conditions, but I can view them and make sure I'm starting to gather up the appropriate documentation on this loan. I can also see the results of underwriting findings. So if I did have a property inspection waiver on this loan, I'd be able to confirm that right away rather than having to order an appraisal. I could talk to the borrower on if that was needed. And I can add the other details from the sales contract here to make sure that these are being tracked for downstream users and we're meeting our financing or appraisal contingency dates. Realtors off of the sales contract can be added. There is a global database on MCP where I can select from the different agents involved in the transaction. And permissions can be established for different users that should maintain those and verify that full formal names and license numbers stay up to date. Lastly, if I do know a settlement agent or title company that this is going to go through, I can use that search feature, select from a title company, and have some information ready to move this on to the next stage. Now, before I do so, let's take a look at our loan fees as we prepare to disclose this loan, generate those and deliver the disclosures, and then we'll also look at pricing and locking the loan alongside that. So I would want to open up our loan fees page. And here I'm going to see the results of those third-party fee integrations as well as the fee schedule that is associated with the current product. I can verify if I need to add any additional fees like a survey or something that the realtor is calling for on this loan. I can see those details here, but I can also go in and make sure that my escrows are set up correctly. So with that service integration, we had due dates that were added appropriately for the county tax reserves. I'm going to go into the insurance and set those appropriate due dates. So we're closing in May. This policy will be due for renewal in May of 2026. And escrow cushion reserves can be set at a fee schedule level or an admin where this will load automatically and save on some of the effort for your team on manually inputting that data. Once that's completed, I'm going to go ahead and save. And interest rates are going up. I received a call from the borrower that they want to lock in immediately. So now I'm going to go in and price the loan and look to request a lock. I'll do that through the product and pricing engine up here in the top right. The borrower wants to continue using this 30-year fix that they selected from Borrower Center. Here I can take a look at the current rate today. Now, as I advance forward, I can see detailed pricing for this 30-year fixed. If I wanted to have any discount points paid by the borrower or seller, I could price that in here. I could also do premium pricing on this particular loan. I'm going to go ahead and lock this in for 30 days. So I'll select the pricing and then advance to the rate lock page within this product and pricing wizard. Now down below, I'll see any results of different adjustments like loan level pricing adjustments for credit score, condo, other property details. If I needed to add any manual adjustments, I can do that here. Perhaps I need to have a price concession requested from my secondary or lock desk team. I can also request those. And I'll go ahead and lock this loan. Now there is a different flow. I could either have loans auto locked. In this case, we have a request lock go through to a secondary marketing team or lock desk that will confirm the details of that. Once I save and exit, those results will be stored in MCP, and the pricing history is available in the audit log to review when the changes were made and what that price is for historic comparison purposes. Now, after that lock request went through, a task is sent out to the secondary or lock desk team where they're going to go in and confirm the details of that lock. MCP does support multiplayer, so multiple users can be in the same loan at the same time, and they're not going to get a pop-up or message that says a loan is locked for editing. We understand that multiple users do have to come into a loan to be able to work on it, and MCP supports that. Now, as I prepare to disclose this loan, I will just do a quick refresh here. We can see our status change from the secondary team confirming this. I'm going to go ahead and generate my loan estimate and get initial disclosures delivered to the borrower. So after I include the issue date, I'll go to order documents. And this is where all document packages can come out of the system. We'll see the results of any pre-approval letters that were automatically generated by Borrower Center or any pre-approvals that the loan officer may have generated additionally for a competitive offer. Those will all be stored here along with any other doc packages that are created. I am getting warnings about the disclosures being due. And after the disclosures are ordered, a snapshot is taken to always have a record of whatever the most recent disclosure is on the loan and be there to compare to the current state for tolerances. We'll take a look at that more in the processing session. Now, after our disclosures have loaded, I can click on the package to take a look at those disclosures before I send them off, just to make sure everything is set how I would be expecting them to be. But as mentioned, MCP will load in the appropriate state disclosures and any necessary documents that are required for the property type. Now from here, I want to send those out electronically to the borrower. So I'm going to use the e-delivery feature here, which will send them to the borrower's loan dashboard. This also can send disclosures out to the borrower's email address. So if they were not using Borrower Center or a different point of sale, they'll be able to receive the disclosures out for e-sign and open it up in their email, executing through DocuSign. There's other methods to send disclosures. If meeting with a borrower at a branch location or in person at a coffee shop or other location, documents can be printed by clicking on the link and printing the package. We also feature an integration with First American Print and Ship to send those out through the mail. Now I've got a locked loan. I've got disclosures that have been sent off. I'll just want to wait on the borrower to complete signature. Once the borrower's completed those signatures, we'll review to make sure documents came in okay, and then we'll look to submit the loan to processing. Fast forward now, the disclosures have been signed by Alice on Borrower Center. She received a text notification letting her know that the package was ready for signature and then logged into her loan dashboard like we saw in the previous session. Now, as a loan officer, I want to double check and see the results of those disclosures and make sure I have my intent to proceed. So I'm going to go to a page called Disclosure Delivery Tracking. I'll refresh here and I can see the results now have come through. I have the e-consent. I also have my loan estimate. Delivery is received. And we can start to see some calculations around an earliest closing date. I'm also going to be able to look at the results of those individual packages where if I had multiple borrowers and as a loan officer, I was waiting on someone to sign, MCP does support up to 8 borrowers. So I would see columns here that would display those additional borrowers. If I was waiting on someone, I'd see check marks where it's been signed and exclamation points where it was missing. So I know right away who to follow up on before I can move this loan on to processing, where they'll be able to collect an application fee and ultimately order an appraisal. To do that, I'm going to click on my utility toolkit here and submit the loan to processing. We'll see our status change up in the top left, and a task is now assigned to the processor that will be picked up on in our next session. So we just saw today how a loan officer would review leads, be able to check on rates for borrower, message internally and on Borrower Center. They reviewed fees and were able to have some assistance from fee services to generate those disclosures in a compliant fashion and send them to the borrower, and then submit the loan on to processing after everything had been reviewed as complete on the loan.